Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. We are looking at the drama that unfolded over the past couple of days. It is not stopping. It is going full steam ahead. We've had Tim Dog, who was pretty much, I don't know, I guess he was going through the 7 stages of grief, and I think he's almost at the end of it now. I love you, Tim Dog. But you know, I think you kind of went off the deep end a little bit. But it looks like his protege, Peter Ovo, has finally joined him as well. But, the news that came out from Xbox, in my opinion, there was some bad. Like I said before the actual presentation, it wasn't going to be all good. There was going to be some bad. And, you know, the way I'm seeing it, it's a change. It was always going to come. And you either deal with it or you move on. It's really that simple. Now over here you can see that I've put a poll up. Would you prefer day one ends, so no more day and date, and you keep all your games small, big, and everything exclusive, or keep Game Pass and keep expanding Game Pass with more studios, publishers, acquisitions for day and date delivery? So, adding the likes of Capcom, adding the likes of Sega, even though those games won't be exclusive to the Xbox platform, they will be on your Game Pass day and date. Which do you prefer? And I'm just going to refresh this to see if there's any movement. And as you can see here, only got 32 votes, so it's not been as successful as I hoped. But you've got exclusives at 18.8% and people wanting day and date at 81.3%. And this is on Twitter. If you actually went out and asked people in the general public, this would likely skew to this one being way higher. Especially with those normies who just don't care about exclusives anyway, and they play the casual games more and more, the likes of FIFA, Madden, Fortnite, Rocket League. They would prefer this one over this one. But if we're looking at some of the comments, I know you technically don't own the games. Well, you don't own your games anyway, but I'd 100% rather save money with Game Pass than spend £70 on games. Day and date Game Pass, that's their platform. I personally don't give an F about exclusives. I play Xbox because I love Xbox. Game Pass makes it more affordable to play games I'd have never touched otherwise. That being said, not all exclusives are equal, and no company would give everything. Most, but not all. And Microsoft made that clear that they are not going to be shipping everything over, even though everyone is now saying everything is going over. In today's climate, gatekeeping can stump growth. I mean, console growth has slowed down tremendously. I mean, it's been stagnated since the PS2 days. The PS2 and Xbox era was about 180 million. The Xbox One, PS4 was roughly about 180 million. I think it's like 175 million. Current one at the moment, where we are now, is at about give or take 100 million, and we're entering year 4. The Xbox has 2 years left in it, if rumors are to be believed, with PlayStation having maybe 3.5 years left in it. And sales aren't moving as fast as they did. So I'd be surprised if they actually even hit 180 million. So it's clear that 180 million ceiling has been maintained since the PS2 days, and that hasn't changed. So that ceiling, that growth, has peaked. It's not going above that. And I guess the only platform that's really been immune to that is Nintendo, because no matter what they do, they just sell. And that's why they're not included in this metric, because they're just such an enigma. In today's day one in Game Pass is no brainer. Great podcast, and shows you that the overwhelming majority of the fan base is more focused on the value of day and date on Game Pass, and it's really just a vocal minority that aren't. And as you can see, that's a big difference. But right now, we know that Phil Spencer came around, and we discussed this yesterday in my stream with J-Rock. Shout out to him, great co-host yesterday. Thanks for joining me. But we were talking about all this stuff, and I thought I would post my stance because Jez Corden posted this. Some Xbox fans are really, really putting their head in the sand if they think Microsoft will stop at 4 games. So we've already started with the doom and gloom, right? I don't believe, like some, that Microsoft is planning to put for Xbox to have 0 tentpole exclusives, but there's no way they're going to stop at 4 games. And Tom Warren, Indeed, and the strategy absolutely makes sense. A careful approach to learn what works on the other platforms without undermining Xbox and the ecosystem. It's clear there will be more, but like Phil said, they're not going to suddenly launch everything on other platforms. I also think there will be permanent exclusives. Now, here's my approach to this, and this is what I think makes the most logical sense. Sea of Thieves and Grounded is a good test. If it's successful, all live service games will be pushed, and this to me does make sense. You know, this was asked to me yesterday in the stream as well by J-Rock, and I said, if you know, for live service games, the most important thing is player count. Because the more players there are in there, the more microtransactions you sell, the more money the game makes, the more content you get. It's really that simple. If a game is making 100 million a month, they're not going to stop working on it. They're going to continue pushing content. Right? That's a no-brainer. It's not going to slow down. They're going to ramp it up to try and feed you more. They live and die by the players. Only one I can see being iffy is Halo Infinite multiplayer, but that's really it. And the only reason I raise Halo Infinite multiplayer, even though it is free to play, is because it has the name Halo to it. That's it. That name Halo is synonym to Xbox. It is Xbox at the end of the day. So that's the only one I can see being an issue. But, you know, Sony are making a Horizon MMO style game that's going to be on PC mobile. If that actually comes over to Xbox at some point, then I can see Halo multiplayer going over there. It's, you know, like for like. It has to be something of an equal value, in my opinion, for something like that, you know, even the multiplayer, to try and get more players. Now, Hi-Fi Rush and Pentiment, to me, will be the test. You know, they're going to be tests to see the sales. Porting games takes time and money. It's not free. There's also like other things that have to be adhered to. So there's a lot going on here. If they don't make the money, then that experiment failed, and that notion dies there and then. Like, I can't see them turning around and saying, well, if the smaller titles failed, right, let's go and put Halo onto PlayStation 5. That's just not going to happen. Phil has already said they're picking games carefully in order to make sure it doesn't damage the Xbox brand. Pentiment is not going to damage the Xbox brand. Hi-Fi Rush, no matter how people feel about it, didn't sell, and no one played it. I know this is hard for everyone to hear, but no one played it. You can look on Xbox Live, you can see how many people completed it. Just because you played the first level doesn't mean you played it. No one really completed the game. It's like an 8-hour game. No one completed it. For all the commotion that happened during the Global Awards, no one completed it. People played like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, and put it down and started singing its praises. There was more commotion about it and fanfare on Twitter than there was people playing it, and that was really disappointing to see. But, so for me, you know, Hi-Fi Rush, despite the fact that it's a phenomenal game, and you really should play it, I don't see it as a tentpole flagship title. It's just not. Now, Elder Scrolls 6 is a flagship title. Halo is a flagship title. Gears of War is a flagship title. Forza Horizon is a flagship title. Doom is a flagship title. These to me are flagship. Now, these going along, Blade, Indiana Jones, is going to be a problem. But Phil has already said that Starfield and Indiana Jones are not going. Now, Tom Warren did ask if that means it's never going, but which company out there will ever work in absolutes? If you ask PlayStation today, is God of War going to, can you guarantee forever that these titles will not be going to any other platform? They will tell you that they are exclusive to PlayStation and end it there. They will not go as far as saying that it will never, ever, 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 ever appear on another platform. It just won't happen because no company is stupid enough to speak in absolutes. Because the moment they do, that gets clipped, that gets recorded, and it gets used against them, just like Phil has had done since 2013. Now, as you can see here, I say if they don't make money, that experiment failed, and that notion dies there and then. If these games don't sell on Switch and PlayStation, wherever they end up, that's going to tell Microsoft that these titles don't work going over to the platform. And considering they're not going to be pushing the tentpole titles, at least for the time being, Games going over to PlayStation, at least in these calibers, is just going to die there and then. However, if it's successful, then we will continue to see smaller titles like Psychonauts make their way. And we have continued to see games like Psychonauts going over there, so it's not like it's a new thing. What I can't see, as I said here, is Halo, Gears, Starfield, Forza, Elder Scrolls 6 Blade going. They push console and Game Pass sales, like we have seen with Starfield. Reality is, Hi-Fi Rush and Pentiment didn't sell on Game Pass. People played on Game Pass via sub. It really only sold on Steam. Happy to be proven wrong on this fact, but as each studio has their own profit and loss, I feel they still have sales quotas to at least make a profit, or at the very least, shift Game Pass subs. Without knowing the stats, it's all just us making assumptions, sadly. I did ask for his thoughts. He didn't really get back to me. You can see Ibs here, the community manager at Square Enix, saying Killer Instinct. Ginger Prime says, yeah, if that ends up being the future where live service and multiplayer games are all cross-platform, I think that's a major win for gamers and games. Could possibly see Halo multiplayer, since it's free to play, put on all consoles, but the campaigns and stuff should remain where they are. Basically, single-player games should remain exclusive. I don't see Halo stuff going to other consoles. I think the smaller exclusives will but not the bigger ones. You know, that's what it's all about, right? That's where it is. And in my opinion, that's the thing I'm seeing Microsoft doing right now. Now, this does obviously lead to other situations. You've got Riskit here now saying, let's dispel the BS out there. The rumors were true. They were not, as we can see here. Hardware was incorrect. They didn't show any hardware. Indiana Jones and Starfield was debunked. Game Pass day and day ending was debunked. The price going up was not mentioned, so that was debunked. Xbox going third party was debunked. Getting rid of the Xbox brand and calling it Microsoft Gaming was debunked. Satya Nadella handling the podcast was debunked. So clearly, you know, the rumors were not true. There was a lot there that were incorrect, right? Even like the whole slate going over to PlayStation was incorrect. At the end of the day, you know, journalists like Tom Warren were saying that every single game under the sun on Xbox was going. They even said that there was a big title that was going to be announced. Where is it? Is it Pentiment? I mean, I joked about Pentiment, and because I joked about Pentiment, other reporters, I'm guessing, saw my tweet and decided that they were going to go with that and say Pentiment is coming to thing before it was announced on Thursday. They're true. Stop attacking the leakers. The leakers got it all wrong. They got maybe one or two things right, but they got it wrong. And they're out apologizing. So you're wrong again, Riskit. Let's wait to make noise until Phil says it's happening. No one said not make noise. I've said air your discontent, air your views, but the rumors are just that. They are rumors until proven. But air your views to let them know that even though these rumors are there, you are not happy with them. No one should be sitting there and just twiddling their thumbs and waiting until it's too late. That's the whole point of us having a forum to air our concerns. No one said this. And the fact that now, like, you know, you've got people inside Xbox actually turning against other people is pretty sad to see. Obviously, Peter Ovo is going to 100% agree with him because he's going through the 7 stages of grief. You know, it's weird to see. But you've got this one over here. Like, Peter Ovo now he's become Tim Dog Jr., he's lost 200 followers because I'm no longer the cult of Phil Spencer. No one is saying for you to be friends with Phil Spencer. You know, this whole notion that, you know, Phil Spencer's my buddy, he's my friend, I decided to go and, you know, share my wife with him, kind of thing. That's just weird, guys. The relationship that, you know, certain people had with Phil Spencer, that's just weird. It's weird. It shouldn't happen. They're multimillionaires. You are literally a nobody, like me. The two things don't mix. They may take a photo with you. They may shake hands with you. You're an influencer. You're helping advertise their product. But they will use you every chance they get. And, you know, it's a life lesson for these guys. And you can see now, like, you know, people are just getting sick and tired of Peter's outrage because he hasn't stopped. Obviously, the PlayStation group is now jumping on and supporting Peter and Tim Dog because, you know, they can clearly see that even Crap Gamer to a certain extent. It looks like Crap Gamer's going back to PlayStation. Peter says here, Sean Layden and Jim Ryan did not need 90 billion in acquisitions to grow PlayStation revenue from 24 to 2021. Neither did Xbox. They bought it to increase their war chest. The fact that he thinks this is a revenue thing is clearly mistaken. By the way, Xbox was still behind PlayStation in revenue in the last quarter, despite almost 80 billion in acquisitions. Why do you care about how much money they're making? If you cared about how much money that they were making, you would have went out and bought their games. When someone asked you, are you going to buy Diablo 4, you wouldn't have said, no, I'm waiting for it to go to Game Pass. At the end of the day, the fact that no one buys Xbox games is the reason why this is happening. If Microsoft was making profits in both Game Pass and sales, this would not be happening. But the reality is, people have been conditioned, like myself, to take the games off Game Pass. This is the end result. At the end of the day, there are still sales quotas. Phil Spencer, just 4 games, nothing more. For now. Later, same day, if successful, you will do more in the future. Yeah. I mean, both statements are true. He said, just 4 statements right now, nothing more. Don't expect anything else for the time being. If you are going into this expecting more, don't. This is a business decision and we will assess it and learn from these 4 and then make that decision. Phil Spencer then, when there was asked, if it is really, really successful and you're making a metric ton of money, will you consider putting more smaller titles out there? And they said, yes, we will consider it. It doesn't necessarily mean we're going to do it, but we will consider it. And you know what? They likely will do it because it makes business sense, because no one else is buying those games. I'd really like to know, if you're watching this video, how many of you actually went out and bought Pentiment? Or how many of you actually went out and bought Hi-Fi Rush? Not through Game Pass, playing it, or your subscription. Actually went out and paid $30 or $40, whatever they cost, and bought the games. I didn't personally, so I'm making that perfectly clear. How many of you actually did? Helldivers 2 has passed the all-time Steam concurrent player count of Halo Infinite. Note, Halo Infinite multiplayer is free to play game, and Helldivers is 20. Also, Halo Infinite is available on Game Pass PC, which this guy seems to have forgot, even though he was singing those praises some time ago. It's also available on Game Pass for free, so clearly those two are gonna, I hate the word, but bastardize the actual concurrent numbers on Steam, because I didn't play it on Steam. If the game is available on PC Game Pass, I am playing it on PC Game Pass. I really do not give a shit about Steam. So, don't worry, Phil. Spencer played some. I mean, clearly he's just having a really, really bad time. But even this is not an accurate representation. Because if this game, Helldivers 2, was available on, say, PlayStation PC launcher, which was available day and date for free via your subscription, Steam would not have seen those concurrent numbers. People would be playing it through the actual launcher. It's really that simple. Lost 200 followers because I am no longer the cult of Phil. No, you lost 200 followers because you've literally just decided to flip the switch. And, Peter, you're a nice guy, but... And you can see here, he's literally just completely gone off the rails. Maybe it's an act because Tim Dog has made a lot of money through engagement over the past week just by being the way he is. I don't know. And even this, right? You're comparing this. Cy Peter, Halo Infinite's multiplayer had competition from a badass best-in-class campaign as well, and that actually cost $60. And why are we here comparing the two games when you full well know Halo was also busy dominating over at Microsoft Store and Xbox consoles, which, is 2 extra platforms. I didn't go to Steam, and I'm sure many others didn't go to Steam when it was available. I don't know. That's just me, because I downloaded Halo Infinite through Game Pass PC and Game Pass on my Xbox, and that just downloaded the multiplayer for it. And you can see here already where Halo Infinite, still after all this time, is still in the top 20 played, right? So, yep, it doesn't work as one-to-one comparison precisely because of that. Why would I download and play the multiplayer on Steam if I bought a Play Anywhere copy through Microsoft? Anyone who disagrees with him or unfollows him because of his behavior is a Phil cult member. So, I wish him the best of luck. He's clearly gone off the deep end. But in my opinion, this poll speaks, wonders. Obviously, it's a really small one. I'm hoping that this will actually get more traction so we can see, and I'll follow it up with another video. But this is how I see it. Are we going to be limited to those 4? It depends. I do suspect that not Sea of Thieves, Hi-Fi Rush and Pentiment will do well enough, and if it does, then they'll look at other smaller titles to push forward. It's not going to end with those 4. If people are expecting it to end with those 4, it is not. But what I don't see is them pushing the bigger tentpole titles like Halo, Gears, Starfield, Forza, Elder Scrolls 6, Blade, and so forth onwards. Now, one conversation came up yesterday that was something that I asked to J-Rock, and I'm going to ask the same question to you, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below because this video is going long enough, and I'm going to end it with this question. If, let's just say, in a year's time or 2 years' time, Microsoft decided, okay, now's the time that we're going to release Starfield on PlayStation. Now, obviously, by that point, we're going to have the first DLC. We may even have the second DLC if they're making it in tandem. Assuming that it does release on PlayStation, it's a big assumption here, would you, and they then turned around and said, right, you've got the base game now. In 1 year's time, just like the Xbox cadence, you will get the DLC. Or, if you want to play the latest and greatest now, you can go to PC or Xbox. Would that be acceptable to you? So if it took 3 years, year 1, base game, year 2, DLC, year 3, DLC, and in 2 years' time when Starfield gets ported over to, if it gets ported over to PlayStation, in 2 years' time it would be the base game, and then a year later will be the DLC, so it would follow the same timeline. DLC 1 and 2 wouldn't be released as a bundle for it. Would that be acceptable to you? Because by the time that comes out, you wouldn't even be caring about that anymore. You'd be more interested in the fact that you'll be playing on your Xbox Series X2, or you'll be playing Blade, or you'll be looking at the new Gears, or the Forza Horizon 6, or whatever else is coming along your way by that point. I'd really be interested. Or even then, like while they're playing, the base game of Starfield, you're already on DLC 2. And if they want to play the latest and greatest, they have to come over and buy it on your platform or buy it on Game Pass. Would that be acceptable to you? It's food for thought. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. And if you have found this video useful, do consider leaving a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.